Welcome back, fashion lovers. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you step by step how to sew straight pants with zipper fly and side pockets, from drafting to cutting and stitching to get a perfect fit just like mine is here. Whether you're a beginner or leveling up your sewing skills, stay tuned to the end because this tutorial will guide you through every detail to make a DIY straight pant with zipper fly like a pro. Let's get started. With me here, I have 2.5 yards of fabric, and that is what I'll be using during the course of this tutorial. This fabric is called a tweed, and on this paper here, I've written out all the measurements that you'll be needing for this tutorial. Just in case you can see it, I'll be putting it up here on the screen. So I have the round waist, the round hip, the round thigh, the waist to hip measurement, the round knee, and the length, which is from your waist to the length which you want your pants to be. Now, for you to know how many inches you need to cut your fabric to put it on fold, especially if you've gotten that 2 yards, 2.5 yards, and you need to make sure that it will be enough, what you need to do is to take the bigger measurement, either the thigh or the hip measurement. In most cases, it's the thigh measurement because the thigh is usually divided by 2 and the hip divided by 4. So my thigh is 28 divided by 2, I have 14, and my hip is 44 divided by 4 is going to give me 11. So you see my thigh measurement is bigger. So you're going to say your thigh measurement divided by 2. Mine is 14. You'll be adding extra 2 inches allowance. I have 16. Now, because we are going to put this on fold, you're going to multiply whatever you get by 2. I have 32 here. So I'm going to measure out 32 on my fabric, cut it and put it on fold. I already have my fabric on fold here, and taking the measurement, you can see that I have 16 inches. The first thing you're going to do here is to come down from the top of your fabric by 1 inch and connect with a straight line. This line here is going to serve as your starting line, which is also going to be your waistline. The next line you're going to mark is going to be your crotch depth, and to get your crotch depth, all you need to do is to divide your hip measurement by 4, and whatever you get, you're going to add ½ inch to that. So for me, I have 11 inches. I'll add ½ inch and I'll be marking this at 11.5 inches. To get the hip line measurement, you're going to go up from the crotch depth by 2.5 inch. And you're going to connect this with a straight line. The next point you're going to mark is going to be your waist to your knee line measurement. Mine is 23.5 inches. Mark on both sides and connect with a straight line. Lastly, we are going to mark the waist to the length. I'm using 47 inches, so I'm going to mark that first. Connect with a straight line. And at that length there, you're going to add extra 1.5 inch for folding allowance. Then just cut off whatever it is that you will not be needing at this point here. Now let's place all our measurements on these lines. First, you're going to divide your hip measurements by 4. For me, I have 11 inches. Then I'm going to add extra ½ inch for allowance. Now, if you're using a fabric that doesn't move or that doesn't stretch at all, instead of ½ inch, you're going to add extra 1 inch for allowance. So for me, I'm using 11.5. I'll mark that on the waistline and also on the crotch depth line and connect this together with a straight line. On the crotch depth line here, you're going to divide your thigh measurement by 2. Mine is 14. You can see that that is extending into the part where the crotch extension is meant to be. This always helps me to get the perfect crotch extension for myself. Taking the measurement I have here, I have 2.5 inches, and my crotch depth extension usually fall within this range, but this always gives me an accurate and perfect extension even for my clients. At this point here, I'm going to go up by 1 inch, and from this point I'm going to connect back into that point there and then back into the hip line. On the waistline, divide your waist measurement by 4. You are going to mark it from this point here. Then you add extra 1 inch for seam allowance. From that point there, you are going to connect into the crotch depth line with a straight line. Now, just in case you are wondering why I didn't connect it to the hip line, this is a pro tip. The reason is because after connecting to the hip line, I realized that if I sew it, it usually bulges at the sides around the hip line. Once I connect direct to the crotch depth line, it eliminates that completely for me. Divide what you have here on this line into 2. Mine is 14, so divided into 2 I have 7. You also mark that on the knee line and connect with a straight line. And then you will mark it all the way to the length and connect with a straight line. This line here is going to help you to distribute your measurements equally on both sides, and this is going to help your pants to come out perfectly. So on the knee line here, we are going to divide our knee measurement by 2. My knee measurement is 21, divided by 2, I have 10.5. Now this 10.5 I have, I'm going to distribute it equally on both sides of this line. So dividing that by 2, I have 5.25. So I'll mark 5.25 on each side of this line. I like to add extra ½ inch to what I have on my knee line because it helps to give me a perfect fit. Then you connect this back into your crotch depth. At this point here, it might look a bit sharp, so just go ahead and blend it just like I'm doing here. Take whatever you have here on the knee line and you're going to minus 1 inch from it. So what I have here is 11.5. Minusing 1 inch, I have 10.5. Okay, now I'm going to divide this by 2 also and distribute it equally on what I have here on the length. So I'm marking 5.25 on both sides of the length. I'm going to connect from the knee line to the length like this. At the down part here, make sure you extend this line a bit just like I'm doing here. This helps to balance out your pants at the length. After we are done with that, we are done drafting out this pattern. I didn't know my camera wasn't recording, so I started cutting this out. So I'm just going to put this back together. Let's just pretend that I've not started cutting this out. To contour the waist area of the front pants, I came down by 1 inch and connected it back into the waistline. And also from the center front, I went in by ½ inch and connected it back into what I have there on the crotch. So this is going to help to reduce any form of bulge at the front of your pant. When cutting this out, make sure that you cut out following the initial waistline. When we are done cutting out the back, that is when you can now cut it following this new contour line here. So I'm just going to proceed to cut this out. After cutting this out, make sure that you notch it at the knee lines. This is going to help so that when you are joining the front and the back together, it aligns perfectly at the sides. Okay, now we are going to cut out the back, and to know how many inches you need to cut the back to put on fold, what I usually do is to add extra 8 inches. On fold, I have extra 4 inches around the crotch area, and this is going to give me 40. So I already put my fabric on fold there. You will just place your front on your back piece like this and arrange it just like I'm doing here. I always make sure that I leave about 2 inches or 1.5 inch at the top of the back fabric like this. Make sure you secure this with pins all around just like I'm doing here, just to make sure that your fabric is in place and doesn't move around while you are taking your measurements. So what you do here is to extend these lines. So extend your waistline, the hip line, the crotch depth line, the knee line, and also the length. At this center, you'll be extending this center front line upward like this, and from this point here, you're going to go up by 1 inch. If the person is bigger, you can use 1.5 inch. Take the measurement of what you have on the front waistline. Mine is 9 inches. And you are going to make sure that you have the same thing from this point here to this 1 inch or 1.5 inch you came up by. So you can see that I also have the same thing. Now from this point here, you're going to mark 3.5 inch. Now if the person is bigger, you can use 4 or 4.5 inch. Don't worry, at the end of the day, we'll end up trimming this to the exact waistline you are using. I'll be using 3.5 inch. Now you connect a straight line from this side through this 1 inch here all the way into that new point you marked, just like this. From this point here, you're going to connect a straight line into your crotch depth. And for the extension of the back crotch, I'll be using 2.5 inch. If the person is bigger, you can use 3 inches. So you'll be connecting this with a slight curve into the crotch. Going to the knee line, you're going to mark 2 inches all the way to the length, and you're going to connect all this together with a straight line. And that is it. We are done drafting for the back. We are going to cut this out. And don't forget to notch the knee of the back just like you did for the front. Now I'm going to take out the back, and at this point, if you want to insert pockets to your pant, you can go ahead and do that. I have a detailed tutorial on my channel where I taught how to attach side pockets to your pants like a pro. So if you don't know how to do that, or if you haven't seen the tutorial, I'll be putting the link in my description box so you can check that out. So here I was done inserting the pockets, and you can see how beautiful that looks. It doesn't bulge at all. So if you want to know how to insert side pockets to look like this, you might want to check out that tutorial. Now the next thing we are going to do is to join the front and the back together. And to do that, you're going to place the back and the front right sides facing each other, just like I'm doing here. And this is a pro tip on how I join the sides of my pants to make sure that the side seams align. What I do is to pin it down at the waistline. Then remember this point I said you should make sure you notch at the knee line. You are going to place them together. And then make sure you place the length together also. Now you are going to go ahead to pin down whatever you have in between. Now this is going to help when you are stitching down the sides, it comes out equal at the sides. After stitching that down, you can see what I have here. Don't forget that whatever you are doing to this side of your pant is what you are doing to the other side of your pant. Now I'm going to show you how to create zipper fly on your pant. This is very easy. Just pay attention to see how I'm going to do this. So these are the 2 pieces I'll be using for the zipper fly. For this one here, what I have for the length is 7 inches. This side here, I just curved it in. And for the width, what I have is 2 inches. This other one here is on fold, and what I have for the length is 7.5 inch. 7.5 inch because we'll be using ½ inch to stitch down this other part here. And for the width up here, I have 2 inches, and down here I have 1.5 inch. So if you notice, the upper part is looking a bit wider than the lower part. So what we'll do here first is to stitch down this down part using ½ inch. After stitching it down, you're going to turn it inward. Remember, this is on fold, so you're going to make a stitch here to secure this together. To attach this to my pant, I have the left pant here. So what you're going to do here is to get the fly, and you're going to place the right side of your fly on your fabric like this. Pin it down. Then at this center front here on the waistline, you're going to mark 0.5 inch. And at the length of the fly here, you are going to mark 0.25 inch. You connect this together with a straight line, and you go to your machine and stitch down following this line that you just drew. Now let's just assume here that I've stitched it down. After stitching it down, you open this up like this, and you are going to make a top stitch very close to the initial line, just so you secure the fly in place. So after doing that, you can see what I have here. I made a top stitch very close to the initial stitch that we made. Now we are going to insert our zipper. I didn't have the short zipper, so I'll make do with the longer one. So you're going to place the right side of the zipper on the right side of your fly like this. So the wrong side of the zipper is what is facing me. And also I'm going to make sure that this metal side of the zipper is slightly below the fly. The side of your zipper here should align with the side of the fly. Then pin this down like this. What you will do here is to stitch it down on this side from the waist to the length. After doing that, you can see what I have here. This is exactly what you should have. Now you're just going to take out your pins. Open this up like this. You can see that the fly easily covers the zipper. Now you're going to get this other piece, and you're going to place it right beneath the zipper. But before we do that, we are just going to make a point at where the stitch should start, which is here. Now you're going to place this beneath the zipper, making sure that this folded edge is inside. Okay, should be towards the inside. So starting from that point we marked on the zipper, just pin this down, and you're going to make a stitch also to secure this to the zipper. Now after doing that, we are going to join the both sides of the front together at the crotch. I'm just going to bring the other side of my pant. The first thing I like to do here is to take the measurement of what I have from the waist to the length of my zipper fly. What I have here is around 7.5 inch. I'll just approximate that to 8 inches. I like to mark that on the crotch area on the other side of my front pant. So what I did here is to mark down 8 inches from the length, and then at the waist I went in by 0.5 inch and I connected with a straight line. So you're just going to fold this in like this, and you're going to give it a good press to secure it in place. After giving this a good press, this is exactly what I have. You can see how I ironed it. What you're going to do here is just to place this beside the zipper here. You're just going to make a top stitch from the waist all the way to the length. So you can see what I have after doing that. The next thing we are going to do here is to close the remaining part of the crotch. So turn it right sides facing each other. You're going to pin it down just like I'm doing here. Then you're going to determine where your zipper is stopping. Mine is slightly above this metal stuff I have. So you're going to mark it into the side like this. Then from this point, so you're going to sew this using 1/2 inch from this point here all the way into this point. After sewing that, you can see what I have. I'm just going to turn this to the right side. And you guys, this is how easy it is to create a zipper fly. Zipper fly is actually easy and fun to make if you know what you're doing and if you know how to go about it. So just make sure you follow my steps and you're good to go. The next thing we are going to do is just to make a top stitch to create the zipper fly design. So at the top you're going to mark 1.5 inch, and at the length of the zipper fly you mark 1.5 inch. You're going to connect this with a straight line back into this point like this. You're just going to create a curve like this. I'm using a white chalk so you guys can see what I'm doing. You're going to go and make a top stitch following this design. Now before you do that, what you need to do is to make sure that at this upper part here, you take this out of the way. You're not meant to stitch it down together, okay? You take this out of the way. I'm just going to use my pin to demonstrate it better for you guys. This upper part here, make sure you take it out of the way. When you get to the bottom here, this can come back like this. So towards this area here, the stitch should come from here and then it will come back into this place. I hope you understand what I'm doing, what I'm saying. If you don't, just watch how I'm describing this to understand. So I was done stitching it down here, and you can see what I have. You can see that at this upper part that this is out of the way, and then it comes back in, and that is it for the zipper fly. The next thing we are going to do here is to attach the back crotch together. So I'm just going to fold that into two. Make sure that you pin your side seams together like this, and also make sure that your zipper fly is out of the way. So you pin it down because the zipper fly shouldn't be included in the measurement of the waist. So you can see how I did that. So what you're going to do here is to divide your waist measurement by 2, because what we have here is folded into 2. So my waist measurement is 31. Divided by 2, I have 15.5 inches. You can see the excess we have left on that waist. So we are going to blend in whatever you have at that point back into the crotch depth. So coming to this crotch area, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch, connect it together and blend it back into what I have there on the waist. So after sewing it, I'm just going to trim off the excess I have here. Then we are going to join the front and the back together and close up the inner part of the pant. So you are going to place the front and the back crotch together. Make sure that they align perfectly. Pin it down. And just like we did for the side, you are going to place the knee notches together and also pin down the end. Then you are going to secure whatever you have in between them like this. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. So what you're going to do here basically is to stitch down from this point all the way through this part to the end using 1/2 inch, and repeat the same thing on the other side. Now that we are done with that, the next thing we are going to do here is to insert our waistband. And for this waistband, this fabric already have an interfacing on it, so I don't need to attach any interfacing at all. My band, so make sure you take what you have around your waist measurement and add an extra 4 inches to that. My band is on fold here, and what I have here on fold is 2 inches. At this other side of the band, you can see that I ironed 1/2 inch up like this. So this is exactly what your band should look like. Now you're going to place this on the waistline. On this zipper fly area, you're going to make sure that you have an excess of about 2 or 2.5 on the band. Okay, so you're going to pin this all around. And you're going to stitch this down using 1/2 inch seam allowance. After stitching it down, you can see that at this area here, I made sure I had an excess of 2 inches, and then I closed it up. When you turn it over like this is what you should have. And also at this side here, at the end, after getting to the end, I closed this up, and when you turn it, this is what you should have. Now what you're going to do here is to turn this to the back just like this, and you're going to give this a good press. I like to use hemming gum to press my own just to keep it in place. Then you're going to run a stitch from this point here using the stitch in the ditch method all around to secure your band in place. After doing that, you guys, you can see how beautiful this looks. Are you seeing how neat this looks? If you follow every step in this tutorial, you should be able to make one for yourself. Now the last thing I'll be doing is just to create a buttonhole on this part here, on the upper part here, and to fix a button on the lower part. And that is it, guys. We have come to the end of this tutorial. This is how to create a female straight pant with zipper fly. I hope this tutorial was helpful. I can't wait for you guys to create yours. And when you create yours, I would really love for you to share it on the community tab for us to see how good you did. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, and make sure you share this to family and friends who you think would love a tutorial like this. Make sure you hit on the like button, turn on your post notifications for more tutorials like this. I will see you guys in my next tutorial. Stay tuned.